Welcome, one and all, to the MindMesh podcast. My name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish. And
what?
I don't know.
And what? No, tell me. You want to lead into this? You want to segue about
I shouldn't, because we're actually starting with your topic tonight.
Yeah, it's a coin flip. And look, I'll put a little disclaimer. I understand that for the past 4 or 5 episodes, my topic have always been food related, but this one has a little bit of a twist at the end. Okay? It's not all food. Got a little twist at the end. Huh? Excited now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what I would like to talk about is something that we both actually know about. It was a trend. I don't know how long, maybe a year ago that started.
A year or
year or two. 6 months.
Yeah.
You think it's been less than a year?
Yeah. It's been, I noticed it really at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's been less than a year.
And maybe the end of last year.
But there was a channel. I don't even remember the name.
It's Philip Solo TV.
Yeah. So him.
Yeah.
He started doing this series called Reviewing the Worst ...
In my city.
In my city, hometown, yada, yada, yada. And it was basically hotels and restaurants. That was the two that he focused on he started with restaurants, and then from there he was like
hotels.
Going to the worst hotel, going to the worst bed and breakfast, and so on and so forth. So I remember when that video first came out, because he went to this terrible, I forget exactly what kind of restaurant it was, because it was like he was getting donair, which I believe is Greek food. Is donair Greek?
I don't know.
Probably Greek food. But then he was also going through, and they had French onion soup, so that's kind of French. Actually, I don't think French onion soup is French. I think it's American made, but same thing as French fries. We're gonna call it French. And then they had some god awful lobster tail. That was lobster tail wrapped in aluminum foil, but then topped with a mountain of French fries to hide the fact that there was lobster tail. And all I remember is watching this was, wow, this was a good idea. And I kid you not,
it blew the fuck up.
It blew up. It absolutely blew up. Every single big YouTube name under the sun was doing, we visit the worst blank in our city. And there was one that was and they got super fucking specific about it too.
Oh yeah.
There are channels out there that they're going to the worst Taco Bell in my city, going to the worst Chick-fil-A in my city, going to the worst McDonald's in my city. It's not even restaurant to this point. It's just restaurant name.
Oh, no.
Especially if it's in a big city.
I think it kind of branches off another YouTuber that we've both watched, the Wolf Pit and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's the worst food you can find.
Well, no, he was doing that way before.
That's what I'm saying.
It
branches from genres like that where it's
yeah, because the Wolf Pit goes
Dollar
to
General,
yeah, he
or
goes to
Trader
Dollar General.
Joe-esque foods.
The Wolf Pit specifically goes to Dollar General and Dollar Marts to find what foods / mostly frozen foods. And he'll get the frozen foods, and he'll actually go through each ingredient and be like, this is the stuff that's bad for you, but everything else is okay. He'll go through the calorie count. He'll literally go down the nutrition spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And actually discuss it in depth, and then cook the food in a plethora of ways, and then eat it and give his honest review about it. The Wolf Pit's been doing that for ages.
Yeah.
But of course, he's also a barbecue channel. He's one of those. There's a channel out there that specifically does sous vide everything. I think that's the channel name. It's called Sous Vide Everything.
What does that mean?
The sous vide is a French cooking technique. You can actually buy them on Amazon now. And it's basically this wand. It's called immersion cooking, where you take a wand and you put it into almost a large pasta pot, or spaghetti pot, as I like to call it. You fill that with water. You put the immersion cooker in there, and then you vacuum seal whatever meat you want to cook. So say steak. You put it into a Ziploc bag. You take as much air out of it as possible, or in best case scenario, you take a vacuum sealer and you vacuum seal the meat. And you're able to set the immersion cooker to a specific temperature, be it 3 degrees below medium rare.
Mm-hmm.
You put the meat in once it's warmed up, and then you cook it for an hour. And basically what it does is that it slow roasts the steak.
Okay.
Up until 3 degrees below medium rare. And when you take it out, it's gonna be like that gray meat, like that gross kind of meat that
Yeah.
looks kind of weird. And then you just put it on a searing hot pan for like 1 minute per side, and that'll make it nice, beautiful crusted. But basically, what it does is that, unlike grilling a meat, it doesn't break down the proteins as much. So you know how when you go to a restaurant and you order a steak and you have like that nice juicy pink middle, but then outside of that there's that weird like brown ring?
Yeah.
It eliminates that entirely.
Oh, okay.
So basically you have the same look all the way through.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's a different way of cooking meat that actually helps not to break down the proteins of the meat itself to make it less nutritionally viable.
I get you.
So there's literally a channel out there called Sous Vide Everything that does that. And then, of course, the Wolf Pit does barbecue. And then he does the What Are We Eating, which is like every dollar frozen food item at Dollar General and stuff like that. But then all these other channels, and they're not even like food channels, but certain like vlog channels have turned into food channels and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
But no, the huge craze of like, we're eating at the worst. And then it like did a flip. It did like, oh, here's the sister show of we're eating at the best. And then you just flip it on your head. It's like, we ate at the worst Taco Bell, but now we're eating at the best Taco Bell.
We're at the best restaurant in my city. We're staying at the best hotel at my city.
Yeah, it's like, where does it end? And let me tell you, it doesn't end. Because there's two specific spin-offs that I would really like to talk about. One good and one bad.
Yes.
We'll start with the good, because I feel like the bad has a little bit more implications to it. So the good is the people who are trying to almost reverse the worst of. So there's a channel out there, I forget the name of it, but basically he looks at all the Yelp reviews or Google reviews. He looks at the reviews of a restaurant.
Yeah.
Same thing that you do if you're like going to the worst Chick-fil-A, yada yada yada. He
You
looks
just search for it.
He looks for said worst restaurant. He'll find it, and what he actually does is he just goes to it as a reviewer.
Yeah.
He goes to it to He goes to it to see if it's as bad as people say it is.
Yeah.
And he's almost like a white knight for restaurants in a sense. That's the way I think about it. Because he goes and he actually reviews them off of customer service, cleanliness, and the food quality itself. Like the three standards.
Yeah.
And what he'll do is like if the restaurant in his eyes is actually like a decent establishment, he'll go on Yelp, Google reviews or whatever, and he'll leave his specific rating, and then he'll type like a 3-paragraph response to be like, these reviews are wrong. They just either had a bad experience or they're just lying.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of weird that this like precedent of like, oh, we're just going for the fun of it. Like we looked at the worst reviewed restaurant and this was the worst, so we're just going to eat it to see, oh, is it that bad?
Yeah.
This guy like kind of took it and expanded it where it's like, oh, I'm going to the worst restaurant, but I'm actually going to prove if it's the worst or not.
Yeah, you've seen how bad it actually is.
Yeah, and if it's the worst, I'm going to leave that review and I'm going to be honest with my review. But if it's actually not bad,
then I'm
gonna try and like save it. It's like almost a Kitchen Nightmares like
esque deal, but
yeah.
lower quality.
Yeah, except lower quality, you know, YouTube. Terrible.
I'm helping as much as I can.
Helping as much as I can with my YouTube audience that doesn't live in my city type deal. But I don't know. I like the ideology behind the whole going to the worst or going to the best, because it's kind of like, I like to see the difference, especially the channels that do the worst/best thing.
To see the quality difference in the food.
Yeah,
I just like to see like, as far as like the worst, what can someone get away with without either getting caught or without breaking health violations?
Well, that's the other thing. I was watching once again I forget it. It was one of those. It was an animator's channel. Who's the guy? Odd One's Out. Is that the guy who worked at Subway?
Yeah.
He was talking about like all the things he used to get away with for like health violations and all that stuff, and how all the employees just did not care. He was talking about how one time when he was working at or he calls it Swoobway, to not get
sued.
Yeah, the lawyers aren't coming out from the sandwich folds. But he was talking about how one day he was working and this little boy came in just swim trunks, no shoes, no shirt, no nothing, just sopping wet, and just asked for a cookie. And he was like, did I tell the boy to scram because, you know, no shirt, no shoes, no business type deal? He was like, no, he was a paying customer. I gave him his cookie. He was happily along his way. What I was more worried about was that his mother was nowhere in sight.
Yeah.
And then further on in the conversation, or in the video, he was talking about how he took his dog into a Subway, and they were like, "Is that a service animal?" And they were like, "No." And the employee was like, "It can't be in here. If our health inspector comes in, we'd be shut down in an instant."
And he said, okay, but we can make it fast.
Well, yeah, no, he was like, "Yeah, but we can make it fast." So it's like in that instance, it's like fast food workers aren't like super well trained people.
Oh yeah, that or they're just
for the
humans.
most,
They understand.
yeah,
like
they're humans, but it's also most of them are like high school workers, except for like the manager or like the top brass of the establishment. For the most part, they're mostly teenagers, like high
Yeah.
schoolers just looking for a job. So in that capacity, it's like I feel like they get away with a lot because for the most part, when those health inspections do happen,
yeah.
I feel like there's almost a trickle down effect.
What do you mean?
Because I mean, let's talk about Big Bonald's, if you will. So I'm guessing the CEOs of the company like kind of know the schedule of like when the health inspectors are coming, and when Big Bonald's CEOs hear that, they go down to the general managers of each Big Bonald's chain
And tell them, and it trickles down
and be
that
like,
way?
"Hey, there might be a health inspection this week," and then from the managers, they go down to their little high school workers and be like, "Be on your best behavior.
Yeah.
There might be a health inspection type deal." I mean, it's the same situation for like all working environments.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the CEO of the company's coming today. We need to make sure we're on our best behavior so that way we don't get like reprimanded or get a slip or yada 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 get punished. So it's like when it comes to wondering how much they get away with, I feel like they get away with so much.
Yeah.
Like it's not to the point. Like for me, it's like we have a friend that's going into like the culinary type arts,
Yeah.
and he's always like talking to us about how to store meat properly for transport, or how to be clean in the kitchen and make sure that we're not transmitting disease to people.
Yeah.
And it's
or
like
getting anybody sick.
yeah, or getting people sick. I mean, same.
Yeah.
And touche. But like for me, it's one of those things where like growing up in my mother's household and watching her cook and learning to cook from my mother,
Mm-hmm.
you learn how like when you're cooking for friends and family, you don't have to be as strict as a restaurant is.
Yeah.
Like a restaurant, if you get sick and you go to the restaurant, you can sue them and like
You can get shut
everything.
down.
Yeah, everything will just explode in your face. In home, for the most part, I have never gotten sick from any form of cooking my family's done.
I don't think I have either.
I've only ever gotten sick once from a restaurant. And that restaurant was I don't know if we've been saying restaurant names, but I would rather not, in all honesty.
What kind of food do they have?
So they serve the chicken of the sea, and their mascot has claws, and their main color is the opposite of blue. So if you can piece that together, they have a little tank in the front of their establishment. Like they're the weird high class yet still middle class seafood restaurant.
Oh.
They also have some delicious biscuits. That should tell you everything.
Yeah.
No, what are you talking about? No. They don't have biscuits. That's a fast food seafood place. That's
Captain
low
D's?
tier. Yeah, that's low tier seafood.
Mid tier. Oh, okay. So you were talking about like actual sit down restaurant.
Yeah, wait.
I still thought you were talking about like fast food esque, but like how Chick-fil-A people say like it's like higher quality fast food, but it's still fast food.
Well, see, for me, when I'm talking about like restaurants or whatever, like if it's fast food, I say fast food.
Okay.
Because that's a different beast and all in entirety. But I remember as a kid, I got some crab from said seafood restaurant.
I know what you're talking about now.
And man, did it mess me up. It messed me up for days. And from that point on, it was probably about 4 or 5 years before I was okay with eating seafood again.
Man, once you get sick from something, especially as a kid, you never want to fucking touch it.
It's hard to get your taste buds acclimated back to it. Like you literally want to stay away from it as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my case. But for the most part, with our friend being in like the culinary field and like complaining to us, be like, no, you can't do this. This is so unsanitary and stuff like that. Like, I can understand in a professional environment,
Yeah.
but like, fuck it. I'm just cooking for my friends. I know my limits, and like, for me, I'm more worried about. I mean, we talked about this in the Thanksgiving episode and just episodes where I talk about cooking in general. I'm the most worried about like poultry. Like, poultry is scary as fuck to me. Like, serving someone undercooked poultry is scary. Pork and steak and beef. Well, steak and beef are the same thing. But like, that stuff.
Any sort of like brown meat.
Yeah, any red meat is like cool. That's whatever. But poultry is just scary because it's like if you're 1 degree off, you run the risk of like
getting someone very sick.
Yeah, very sick. So that's always been like my line where I'm the most worried about cooking for people. But it's like I don't need to take the same sanitary guidelines that a restaurant does, because they take those sanitary guidelines for the sole fact that someone can sue them. But yeah, so I guess we kind of went off the topic of the worst and the best restaurants.
I mean, kinda, but
we're still in the vein of like what our viewpoints of restaurants.
I haven't actually. Well, I did have a less than stellar experience at a restaurant recently.
Yeah.
I went to this buffet
Mm-hmm.
This past weekend with my girlfriend, and it was like a hibachi / buffet.
Oh, you usually don't see those combinations. It's usually like kind of like is why I say sushi bar in the sense of like it's a sushi restaurant,
yeah,
and then hibachi. That's usually the combination you'd see is sushi hibachi. You don't usually see hibachi buffet.
Like I've seen restaurants that'll have like a hibachi side and then a buffet side.
Yeah,
but this was all together. Like,
well, that's weird.
When you got your plate, you could go like put some steak onto it and then walk over to the grill.
Oh, and the no, I have been to one of those. Well,
I did that, and I got fried rice and a little bit of steak, and then some just normal like buffet food like lo mein and rice and wontons and whatnot.
Yeah,
or rangoons, and everything was like cold.
That's weird.
And then like the rice did not taste like anything but the sauce that they put on it. And then the meat was really like I like my steak like medium rare.
Yeah.
And I asked for it medium and it was still too undercooked.
Weird.
Yeah.
And especially the way that they do hibachi steak, that's really odd because you have to cook that stuff for literally a minute and it's well done.
Yeah.
That's a strange one. No, like, in all honesty, I try my best to stay away from like fast food, like drive-through like stuff now.
I don't.
Bro, I know. But like for the most part, God, I got like those hiccups that aren't actual hiccups. It's just like shortness of breath, so you can't finish your statements.
I get you.
So it's like you talk for a second, you're like, oh, okay, I'm good. Yeah, it's almost like a shortness of breath type hiccup. That's not the type deal. But no, I found myself recently. I mean, I say recently in the past 2 years, which I mean, I guess I can talk about this in a different episode. Just like I guess my weight loss type journey and the terrible lengths I went for it, the unhealthy way I went about it. But I found myself several years ago just kind of living off fast food, and I decided it wasn't for me. So now I'm like those bodybuilder type deals where it's like you get one cheat meal per week, and usually that cheat meal is fast food.
Yeah.
So that's my deal. It's not even fast food. Usually I'll order in from like an actual restaurant to get delivered.
But I guess it's still, I get what you're saying. There's still something like pizza.
It's still one of those things that's deemed as unhealthy. Like you shouldn't do this type deal when it comes to like the whole eating healthy weight loss nonsense that they tell you sometimes. But yeah, no, and it's weird because like when I eat fast food, I'm just like, man, I could, like it's literally gotten to the point where if I eat fast food, I'm just like, man, I could have made this for way cheaper and taste way better. And I hate the fact that I think that way now. And it's the same way being film students. It's like you watch a movie now and you see all the flaws.
And it's like, well, if I was doing it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
and you understand.
I
It's
think
like,
that sometimes with food, and then I try and make food, but
well, I mean, there's a difference of like knowing what you're doing going into it and being completely blind going into it.
yeah,
So it's like with you trying to cook, I understand because you have a very limited sense of what you can and can't do.
yes,
And then you'll try and tackle something you've never done before, and it's like you don't even know the fundamentals of doing it.
it's true.
Whereas like I grew up cooking with my mom, so for me it's like whatever. Like I kind of know the fundamentals. I can at least go into it
Yeah,
like halfway knowing what I am, and then or not halfway knowing what I am, halfway knowing what to do. And if I mess it up the first time, it's like whatever. I know I can do it again next time to make it better.
no, I get you.
But where this was all leading with the whole worst best situation, I know I'm running low on my time.
It's okay. You're good.
But yeah, we're doing TED Talks. We're timed. The counter's going down. I gotta go. So this whole best and worst thing has snowballed out of proportion so much where I have found a channel that reviews public restrooms.
And it's the grossest thing.
Well, and some of them are clean. I'll say this, but the one that I decided to show Fish was disgusting. But and I'll say this now, I have a weird phobia about using public restrooms.
I do too.
I physically can't.
I don't have it that bad. I'm one of those people that
I avoid
know
them at all cost, at absolutely all cost. If I have to go into a public restroom, it better be to grab just paper towels or like to wash my hands. But for the most part, if I go into like a public restroom, I can't use the bathroom. I can't.
It depends on the quality for me.
See, it doesn't even matter. It could be the most sparkling, cleanest public restroom in the world, and it still feels slimy and oily to me. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, I'll go in and I'll, like, open a stall, and as soon as I touch the stall door, like, when I bring my fingers away, they feel slick. And I literally can't describe it, but I stay away from public bathrooms in entirety, and just this channel that I found reviewing them as... And he's not even, like, the whole best and worst, like... Because if you search on Yelp, it's like, what's the worst public restroom in my city? You're not going to find a Yelp review. He just goes to random establishments and just goes into their restrooms and reviews them 1 out of 10. But it's still like this channel, even his like 10 out of 10 restrooms that he's found, which I haven't watched all of his videos to know if he's ever found a perfect bathroom.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that even if he did, I don't think I would ever... I would still view it as like, that's gross.
No, it's very gross.
Like, I don't know. It was, what was it? I found like a meme or something recently that was like, if you're sitting on a toilet right now, just think that your butthole is connected to a giant underground facility of pipelines connecting to every other American butthole type deal.
I mean, that's true in a sense.
No, it's very true in a sense, but for whatever reason, in the back of my mind, like public restrooms are that times 10. Because like when you're at home or like you have your own private bathroom, you're the only person whose ass cheeks ever touch that seat.
Except for me and you, buddy boy, we have to share a toilet.
Boyo, we got to share. But what I'm saying is that in a public restroom, if you go to a restaurant at like 5 p.m. at night for dinner, how many ass cheeks do you think have touched that toilet seat?
Especially in like the last hour.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I literally like my brain says no.
I've heard this isn't really effective, but I do it anyways. If I'm like having to like shit and I'm at a restaurant, I'll fucking cover the toilet seat in toilet paper before I sit down.
See, I can't even do that. Because that just makes it like a fucking slip and slide against that porcelain. But, I mean, yeah, no, I don't know. I just want to point that out. Like, that's the good and bad of the whole situation. But for now, look, Fish, I need to know something. I need to know. Have you heard?
Yeah.
You have? Are
maybe.
You sure?
Possibly. You can tell me, though.
Have you heard of Anchor?
Like the thing that's on like boats.
No. Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll let you explain. You said you knew about it.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Okay.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, there's
Like absolutely free. No charge.
no charge.
Uh-huh.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Wait, phone? You can just pull out your phone
And edit your podcast right from it. And
That's
record it.
wild. That's absolutely wild. What else does it do?
Well, you can distribute your podcast, or Anchor will distribute your podcast for you.
Where?
So it can be heard on Spotify,
Spotify?
Apple Podcasts,
Apple Podcasts?
and anywhere else. Many more.
Wait, so like Google Podcasts and all of those, you can hear it using
yeah.
Anchor? Oh my, really? What else do they do?
You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership.
No minimum listenership? Are you
Yeah,
kidding
man.
me? You can just make money from making a podcast? I
Yeah,
didn't know
man.
you could do that.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Wait, so you're telling me that if our listeners want to make a podcast, all they have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started and make their own podcast?
Yes, that's all they have to do is
That's all they have to
download
do?
the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
That's absolutely wild. What a great steal.
What a great steal.
Let's talk about something near and dear to our hearts. What? Oh.
I'm gonna keep talking. I'm the
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, I think we gave a little inkling of this when we had the person who made our intro music, Cole, on the podcast. I feel like we talked about this topic a little bit, but Fish and me would like to talk about our love for Smash Brothers. That was good, Latan. That was good.
Yeah,
That was
there we
good.
go.
Very nice. So yeah, I feel like besides our Thanksgiving special, our past like 4 or 5 episodes have been about food and video games.
I mean, it's things that are near and dear to our hearts. We're
We're
simple people.
We're simple people. Food, video games, it's all we need. But I feel like this is kind of like that little hurdle we have to get over.
Yeah.
Because it's like once we like kill, you got to kill your babies. As soon as we get over this hurdle of talking about the things we love, we can finally get back into the weird stuff.
Yeah, it's just shit I guess our I don't know how to word it. Our backup topics of just like things we like
Yeah.
instead
Because it's
of
like we kind of gotten into like the busy section of our year.
yeah,
Where it's like we don't have a lot of time to like do research to find the weird grind. Like
I
think
don't have
back to
enough time to like sit on besides just watching my normal videos. I
Yeah,
haven't had time to just explore YouTube or anything just
or
to
like
find
explore
some
my
weird
own
shit.
mind to find some weird topics or whatever. And I think back to our first episode. Like honestly, we were both sitting like we were discussing like the whole like the name of the podcast, what we wanted to do, what it would be about. We were probably sitting on those topics. Like we were searching for those topics for probably about a week.
Probably, yeah.
And like then the next episode, like we had like 2 or 3 episodes like pre-planned. Like we already had like this is what we're gonna talk about type deal. But then from then on out, it was like, oh, we don't have time to think of like some crazy topics. So let's just do some normal stuff. So I feel like we're reaching the cusp of that pillar, and we're about to jump right off into the deep end. Probably.
I
next
really
episode.
hope we are.
Yeah, I want to talk about some weird fucked up shit.
But let's talk about our favorite video game.
I can't wait to
right
talk
now.
about the real life serial killer that like mimics Saw. That's what I want to talk about.
I wish that was real.
Is it not? I feel like anything we say, be it random or not, you could probably search on the internet and then somehow, somewhere, there's like it's
I
an
hope
actual
not.
thing.
I hope that's not a real thing.
I hope it's not a real thing either. But all I'm saying is that the internet makes things real. But back to Smash Brothers.
It's literally been what if we're not doing homework,
if we're not doing schoolwork, if we're not making films, if we're not recording podcasts.
It's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, we just said that we don't have any time to look for topics for our podcast, but you know what? Sometimes you need some me time, all right? Stop staring at us like that. Oh my god.
We need a break to decompress every once in a while.
Yeah, we need a break, so we try to make ourselves angry by beating each other up in a virtual fighting game.
This is true.
Well, it's kind of funny because we both have very different like experiences when it comes to fighting games.
It's true.
Like personally, besides Smash Brothers, the most recent one being Ultimate, which is the one that we play, uh, fighting games have never really been a huge part of my life. I've never really been a huge fan of them. I never go out of my way to play them.
Yeah.
So besides Smash Ultimate, I have only ever owned one fighting game. And that was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which is like some people call it the worst.
I've owned that game too.
Like some people call it the worst fighting game. But all I'll say is that I played The Flash like no other.
There are a handful of fighting games I play. I never played them seriously as a child. That was what I was about to say. Is that like I only ever played against one person, and it was my like childhood friend. Yeah.
But besides that, like I only ever played them, which is weird to say for a fighting game, for the story. I only ever played like the story mode in those games.
Same. I played things like I remember like this Naruto Wii game. I can't remember the name of it. And then like you said, not Marvel versus Capcom, but that was one of them. DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And I'd seen my friends play Mortal Kombat up in high school and stuff. And I never really got into it like competitively. Like I could never get into that combo system and stuff. But around 2 years ago, I started getting into like, for some reason, this niche Naruto fighting game.
Yeah.
Ultimate Ninja Storm.
The weird world of like 3D arena fighters.
And me and my friends just got super into that. And I fell in love with that.
And you haven't put it down ever since.
And I haven't. And I've picked up other fighting games since then. And
well, it's kind of funny because like the more I think about it, the more I realize like I actually take it all back. I've owned 2 fighting games. 3. If I count Smash Ultimate, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. I own Smash Brothers Brawl, which is the quintessential worst Smash Brothers to most people. It's funny that I own the worst fighting games, and for whatever reason, I'm not into fighting games. Who would have thought? But
Scott handpicked the wrong ones.
Yeah, I handpicked the wrong ones. But as a kid, I had a GameCube, but I never had Melee or Smash Brothers Melee, and I had a friend that had Melee. So I at the time I had owned Brawl, I think. The first instance I ever had with Smash Brothers, I think it was Brawl, and I got super into Brawl. I played Pit. I'll say that right now. That is my like deep dirty secret. I mained Pit in Smash Brothers.
Pit main?
Brawl. I was a Pit main. But no, I think I played Melee once. And I was just like, whoa, this is weird compared to Brawl. And then I never played it again. Like I was all in for Brawl. I said, yeah, Brawl's fun. I played Melee. I was like, nah, this is garbage. And now all the Evo people would be like, no, fuck you. Melee's the best.
They quit doing Melee now, right?
Well, they stopped it for like 1 year, but there was so much backlash. I think they're bringing it back or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I say Evo just because it's the biggest fighting game tournament type deal.
I know.
So, okay, Melee lovers comment, yada, yada, whatever. But like, no, I played Brawl, but I only played the story mode of Brawl, Subspace Emissary. And then, of course, with my same childhood friend, that's who I would play against. And he was always in the fighting games.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so like, it was nice to have that kind of connection to him. But besides that, I never cared for fighting games. I never cared to like play online or play competitively or play against computers or anything like that. It was just like if it wasn't me and my buds like beside each other on a couch, it was like whatever. I've never been a huge like competitive spirit or anything like that. So I never wanted it to be a competition.
Yeah.
Like I never wanted to put the effort into like knowing the combos.
No, I get
or
you.
anything like that. So for me, it was never about like the competition. It was more about how the game like brought people together.
So, kind of derailing, kind of staying on the same topic.
Yeah.
As I said back in high school, I wasn't super into fighting games, but 2 of my friends were, and I had like a group, including myself, 4 of us,
Yeah.
And it was me, as previously mentioned, my friend Eli,
Yeah.
and then 2 of our other friends.
Yeah.
And me and Eli were the 2.
Undisclosed. They're like military documents. They've been sharpied out. We can't mention them by name.
I mean, I'm
well,
sure
we could, but it's whatever. I don't know.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. Continue on.
They were both super into fighting games.
Yeah.
And then me and Eli weren't so much. And there would be nights where we would all, if we had fighting games, we'd bring them to our friend's house.
Yeah.
I've mentioned Tyson before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'd bring them over to Tyson's house, and we'd all sit there and play. But Eli brought one of the best fighting games I think I've ever played, because it's such an even playing field for everybody. It was the Deadliest Warrior fighting game.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where you fucking have like a sword, you have like a sword and shield and stuff, and you can fucking chop limbs off, and it's like 2 hits, and that's the match.
That's the whole match. You can chop off a man's head and that's it, or you can chop off both their legs and they're just walking around on nubs type deal. Yeah, no, I know Deadliest Warrior. That's kind of funny. Well, it's kind of funny you said that, because like your whole friend group like fighting games for the most part.
Yeah.
My whole friend game, my whole friend group was not into fighting games at all. And I think that's why I grew up not doing fighting games, besides my one like super close friend who liked them.
Yeah.
It's because all my friend group was into shooters. They were into Call of Duty, Battlefield, all that. And like,
but you didn't get into that either.
Yeah, no, I was never into that, but that was also because they all owned Xboxes, and I was the lone
PS4.
Yeah, I was the
lone PS3.
Lone PlayStation guy. And they were like, "Why don't you play like Call of Duty with us?" And I'm like, "'Cause it's fucking boring." And they're like, "No, it's not. It's high octane. It's so much fun." And I was like, "No,
it's just fun like, to a point in my."
Like the only time I ever played Call of Duty, I didn't even play Call of Duty. I just had the headset on talking to people while my friend played for me. Like that's my.
I've done that before.
That was my experience with Call of Duty, because it never had any interest in me.
It's also those games you have like and it's also with fighting games as well. There's such a like skill level.
Oh yeah,
skill gap. So once you get thrown in there, a lot of people just get deterred immediately, because it's like, why play if all I'm going to do is sit here, and in fighting games I either get pummeled, or in shooters just get killed constantly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand that mentality entirely. But it goes back to the thing where I was like never huge into like multiplayer games. I was a huge person for couch co-op.
Couch co-op.
I was a huge couch co-op advocate. So like if I were to play a first person shooter, it had to be something that was like Metro or BioShock. Like it had to be story driven only.
I get you.
But like that was my whole thing. So like fighting games and first person shooters, like everything that my friends were into, I was never truly into. And I kind of like wrote off fighting games and shooter games entirely. But then something happened. Something happened December of last year, almost a year now. Weird to think about it that way.
Smash Ultimate released to the Nintendo Switch, and Chayton's life changed forever, as did mine, came February 2019.
No, it's kind of funny because I had absolutely no intention to buy Smash Brothers Ultimate. Absolutely.
I did not either, and I hated it in the first few times we played, and something clicked.
No intention whatsoever. No, I'll tell you what fucking clicked for me, which is so terrible to fucking admit, but I love the Persona series, all right? I absolutely adore the Persona series, like in its entirety. Like, and here's another dirty secret. I've never played any of the Persona games except for the 5th one, but I'll have you know, I went back and I watched full playthroughs from like 5 different people for each one of the games, so I know what goes on. I know what happens. I know everything.
I know the lore.
I just don't have a fucking PS Vita to get PS4 Golden, okay? You can't talk to me like that, all right? I don't care. But, so, I love Persona 5. I got it for Christmas, not expecting to like it.
Yeah.
150 hours later, I finally beat the main campaign, and I was like, man, what a rush. Time for New Game Plus. So I was completely enthralled in it, and that's what got me into like Persona. So I went back and watched all the playthroughs of all the previous games to get all the nonsense lore, story bits, all that. And because of that, I remember Smash Bros. Ultimate was announced, and of course, Piranha Plant was the first DLC fighter. And that was in the first announcement when they announced everyone's here.
Yeah.
But then here comes the next Nintendo Direct like a month before release or whatever. And they show how the game's doing, and they're like, oh, one more thing. And all I remember is just that white fucking envelope floating in a purely red space, and like the glove coming up and just grabbing it. And I was just like, oh fuck.
It's Joker.
It's Joker from Persona 5. And I was like, oh God, I have to do it now. And literally, I think it was 5 minutes after the Direct happened, I sent a screenshot to all my friends that it was like, you have purchased Smash Brothers Ultimate. And I was just like, I had to do it for my boy.
Man.
I had to do it for my boy. And it's so sad too, because like, I don't even play Joker anymore. Like, I've completely given up because he just doesn't fit into my play style. Like, I gave him a solid, like, half a year.
I know.
Solid half a year.
I've played a lot of you, Joker.
Yeah, and, like, I just completely gave him up because I was like, yeah, no, this doesn't fit within my skill tree that I got going on here. It does not fit within the, like, the top 3 that I'm good at.
I just remember you showed me the game. Because I was super. I had always asked you to play Naruto.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't, but you'd say, "I'd play this. I'll play this fighting game with you."
Yeah, I'll play this with you.
So I'd try and play it, and I couldn't understand like the whole recovery system and whatnot. I'd get pissed off at that, but I can't remember what clicked for me. But something happened where I think I got into liking Pac-Man, playing Pac-Man, and I was like, okay, I can fucks with this game.
And then from then on out, you played every single video game mascot under the sun. Pac-Man, Mario, Pikachu,
I just
Sonic.
started playing Mario today.
I understand you just fucking started playing Mario, but what I'm saying is that you have this weird knack for picking just
I only picked
mascots.
Mario because you started saying I did that. I just like the way
mascots.
Sonic and Pikachu plays. And Pac-Man.
Yeah, I know. You like how all the mascots play. I'm still waiting on you. I'm still waiting on you to fucking pick up Solid Snake. But yeah, no, Smash Brothers has this weird little this weird bit in my heart.
Same.
Like it's bitten me. It's bit me like a bug. I still don't like it competitively, and let's not talk about the god-awful online play. Like I can't, me and Fish have both concluded that we just can't play online.
At least like here with our internet connection.
Yeah, no. Because like we play together constantly, and then as soon as we go online, it feels like you're playing at half speed.
Well, also what we found out today when looking it up, if you have a lower internet speed, there's 6 to 18.
Well, it's not even if you have a lower internet speed, it's just your connection in general. So like same with like Wi-Fi. If you have four bars or whatever, your Wi-Fi is still the same speed, but because you have a better connection, things will load faster.
Okay.
Or like things will react faster. Or if you have 1 bar, things will load slower even if you have the same speeds type deal.
But if you have a better connection.
Yeah. So it's like how good of a connection you have per person, but we looked it up and it turns out that of course Smash Brothers already has slight input delay just because of using wireless controllers or adapting controllers into a different format. So it already has a little bit of lag.
Yeah.
But going online, it adds another bit of lag that is dependent on your connection to make sure everyone is seeing the exact same thing. And sadly, because we're currently in university at film school and our internet has tons of security on it, it makes our internet very, very slow.
So
our speeds are fast, but our connection is not good when it comes to online connectivity for high reaction games such as Smash Brothers Ultimate. And because of that, we have basically completely written off online play.
Yep.
Because I can't. I play it and I know what I should do, but it literally feels like I'm playing at half speed.
No, I totally get that.
So we just beat each other up because that's kind of our thing we do now.
Oh,
when
man.
we're not recording podcasts or we're not doing university stuff, we're beating each other up in Smash Brothers.
Hey man,
what's up?
Actually, do you want to go play some Smash now?
No, I was literally about to say that. I was about to be like, probably honestly after this podcast, we're probably gonna like pack up all our audio gear and then I'm just gonna bring out my Switch and we're probably gonna play Smash Brothers.
But with
'Cause
that
that's
being
just,
said,
yeah, because that's just all we do. That's all we do. We just fight each other, and soon enough, we'll get into the point where we just punch each other actually with our fists in our mouths.
make sure to see that video next week on our MindMesh YouTube channel.
That's not how this works. We're not a video channel anymore. That's not how this works. Stop. Oh my goodness. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this MindMesh podcast. I know this whole Smash Brothers segment went on a wild ride, but just know that randomness that just happened, that means we're getting to that point where we're going to talk about some messed up nonsense, okay? All right.
We're getting there.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, or whatever platform you're listening to us on, be it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, or if you're listening 2 days later on YouTube, whatever it may be. If you like what we're doing, show us some love. If you don't, show us some hate. We take either one. It's whatever. But show us, please. Give us hate. I need it in my life.
Please unfollow us.
Unfollow us, please. But
Please dislike us.
My name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish. Please
And,
dislike us. Goodbye.
I hate you so much.